Hello, 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 hello. Um, yes, welcome to an episode of the Couple's Journey, and this is be officially like the first podcast that I'm putting out there, and trying to keep it short, trying to keep it precise. There's a good amount of stuff that I'd like to cover, but we'll just keep it short and precise. And today's topic is the one thing that will cause your relationship to fail. And this is like I said, this can be applicable to personal relationships, work relationships, whatever it is, but even romantic relationships, will be applicable. And so hang with me as we go through this issue. So there are principles that are guided in life, right? And so when we talk about principles, we refer to an act or maybe like a law that will always produce the same result, right? So if you take a pot of water and if you take water, put it in a pot and put it on fire, it's gonna get hot. No matter where you do it, no matter how cold it is. Sometimes, depending on how long it does, sometimes it might take longer depending on the weather. Sometimes it wouldn't. But no matter what, it will get hot, right? That's a principle. When you heat water, it gets hot. When you cool water, it gets cold, right? Yes, these principles are things that guide life, right? And they always produce the same results. Um, there's a saying that hard work pays off. Without a hard work, there will never be a payoff, right? That's a principle. Now, the payoff will be different to different people based on how much work they put in, or based on what the value of the work is. However, hard work will always pay off. So some might call it a world principle. Some might call it natural laws. But I believe that these are um, principles that govern life. And no matter what you do, no matter how you try to circumvent it, you will come back to that same result. Um, and like I said, no matter how many times we've tried as a society to get away from these laws, we always produce chaos. It always produces chaos. So just think about it. No matter when people try to break certain natural laws or laws that we consider to be natural laws, it never happens. We push back oceans to build houses. We build on volcanoes. Years, 20, 30 years later, something happens. The volcano either erupts, they're flooded, there are areas that are prone to flooding. We, so many different things. And so it always backfires. And this has to do with the illusion of power dynamics, right? So if we talk about power dynamics, it has always and will always be something that threatens our society. And the thing with power dynamics is, in the moment we think we have power, it doesn't seem to stop. We don't see it going away. We don't see it, but the truth of the matter is that in life, the power people with power will not always have power, or someone with power will not necessarily always have power. Somebody who is weak will not necessarily be weak, because in today's world, there are things that take time to develop, right? Not even today's world, in the world in general. Some people's gifts may take a little bit more time. Some people's discovery of themselves may take a little bit of time. So the there will always be weak people amongst us, but they will not always be weak people in our midst. I'm gonna say that again. There will always be weak people among us, but those people will not always be the weak people amongst us. And it's same with the poor. There will always be the poor amongst us, but those poor people will not always be the poor amongst us. What am I saying is that because of our gifts and because of who we are, we mature, we come to realization of who we are at very different points in life, right? And because of that, the least among us will not always be the least. They can become the greatest. So the idea of power dynamics that we have that makes sometimes we feel like we are invincible, is something that has to be addressed. So if and this is in every relationship there is a leader and a follower, but these roles again are subject to change. They are not permanent. So and it's even so with romantic relationships. Like yeah, there is an idea of the leader. There's the idea where a lot of people talk about as a man, this is what you do. As a man, this is what you do. It's a woman's place to do this. It's a woman's place to do this. If you are working as a team, then the team goals supersedes everybody's feeling or what everybody feels like they need to address or they are responsible for, right? We act in accordance with our gifts, we act in accordance to the time, and we act in accordance with the needs of the team. Responsibility will change hands. You wouldn't always be responsible for something. That will change hands in a relationship, especially a romantic relationship. And if your relationship is going to be successful, you have to be cautious of the fact that relationship responsibilities will change hands. The leadership structure changes. It doesn't always remain the same. People have different gifts, so we have to give them time to shine in their own light. And what do I mean by that? When somebody in the relationship has a better command of the situation, or somebody has a better understanding of the situation, it is the responsibility to give that person the time to shine, to give that person the opportunity. Because guess what? When one person shines, we both shine. When I get a raise at work, we got a raise at work. When my wife gets a raise at work, we got a raise at work. It's not an individual thing. No matter what this, it's not a me thing. It's not a you thing. It's just like, yes, I'll come home and she congratulates me on the good job I have done, and I congratulate her on how the good job she does at work to deserve the to deserve what she gets. However, but like we got a raise, we celebrate, we dance, we go out, we enjoy. So relationships are bound to fail because we lose respect, regard, or value of each other. We lose respect, regard, or value of the other party. So, what is this principle that I'm ranting over, right? And we talked about the principle. So, what is this principle, and what does it come from? And trust me, I'll tell you. This is what this whole thing is about. I'm going to tell you exactly what that principle is. The one reason why your relationship is bound to fail. And I hope it helps. I hope it helps somebody. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there are not other things that causes relationships to fail, because we know there's so many different things that causes relationships to fail. However, this is to me, I think, is the core of every relationship. That if everybody takes this into consideration, or considers this as they go into relationships, or as they work through relationship issues, this brings out to light things that I believe are very significant and very important, right? So again, when it comes to things like that, when I have these questions, or when I feel like I'm missing something, I've learned to always go to what the original intent is. What is the original plan for man? What is the original plan for mankind? What is the original setup for relationships? Because that is the primary reason why we are here, right? If you understand, if you take it as a reason why we are here, the primary reason why we are here will be the ultimate plan, the original plan. No matter what happened, if I set off to go to the store, no matter whether there's traffic, whether there's an accident, whether I have to take different detours, my goal originally is to get to the store. So no matter what detour we take along the road, we have to stop and say, what was the original plan? Where am I going? And that will determine which road, which detours we take, or how we proceed with our journey, right? So again, these principles are life principles, but even more than that, I believe that they are God principles. And what do I mean by God principles? They are the original plan that God had for man, or for humankind, or for a relationship. It was the original plan. And this is one thing that I think that many of us miss. And so we use this to harm our relationships, time and time and time and again. And so the principle that we are talking about, the one principle that I think guarantees a failure in your relationship could be found again in the first book of the Bible, Genesis, in the first chapter, Genesis chapter 1, from 26 to 31. And just for time's sake, I was trying to keep this shorter than this, but just for time's sake, I'm just going to read through it real quick. From 26 to 31, it says, Then God said, Let us make man in our own image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, the birds of the sky, over the livestock and all wild animals, and over all creatures that move along the ground. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God blessed them and said, Be fruitful and increase in number. Fill the earth and subdue it. We'll talk about how this doesn't only relate to having children, but I digress. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that is on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, every tree that has fruit with its seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth and all the birds in the sky and all creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of it in life, I give every green plant for food. And so it was. Then 31 was the perfect one that God brought it together. He said, God saw all that he was made, and it was very good. The original plan for mankind is what I just read to you. Now, people, Isaac, what are you ranting about? It's so important that even in these five chapters or 5 verses, God mentions it. It mentions it three times. It gives man dominion to rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, and over livestock and wild animals. It gives, then the second part, it says, rule over the fish in the sea, birds in the sky, and every living creature that moves on the ground, right? Creature. I give you seed-bearing plants on the face of the earth, and all the beasts on the earth, they are to be yours for food. What is missing? What is missing? And here is the key, right? At no point is man given dominion over another man. When I say man, I mean like human beings. I'm not just saying like man as in man, but man or woman. People, God never gives dominion. No, God never gives the rule over people to other people. That is why I started saying that, yeah, in life, there's a difference between a leadership role and a ruler's role, right? Nobody is better, or nobody should see themselves higher or in charge or better than the other person. So when we have this idea and when we see it, we look at people that are beneath us, regardless of where we stand, there are certain ways that we treat them. There are certain ways that we approach them. We don't value their opinions. What is important to them is not important to us. We don't think their happiness or their fulfillment matters that much. So when we live in a society where there is a misconception about what being successful is, or what being high valued, or what being a treasure, or the table, or whatever the situation, whatever we want to describe, we have to be very, very careful that, yes, it is important to know your value, but your value does not devalue the next person. Your value should not devalue the next person. I think I'm going to clap for myself with that one. Right? Your value should not devalue the next person. Everybody has value. Everybody has something they bring to the table. Everybody has a skill. You just have to decide how much you want to give. You just have to decide what you are giving. And it's not about the other person being less than or being not as worth as much that causes you to put that other person's ideas to the side, or that person's dream to the side. And unfortunately, one sex suffers tends to suffer a lot more than the other one. Women tend to suffer most of the time than men do on this avenue. Well, it depends on what we are talking about. Sometimes some men suffer too. Don't get me wrong, but the idea that somebody is better and deserves more than the other person just because of maybe how much money they make, or the status in life in which they have achieved, or their political stance, or whatever the situation is. When that idea comes into a relationship, it is doomed to fail because you devalue the goodness, the skill, the deservance of the other person, or the value of the other person. And that will never stand. Could you imagine being in a relationship where your significant other thinks that my career is important because my education is important, and my desires are the only thing that is important, and yours just has to take second seat? Like I said, the leadership roles will switch in a relationship, and that's important when you decide as a couple that, hey, okay, for the next 4 or 5 years, we are gonna build, and in order to do that, I'm gonna take it. One person is gonna take a step back for the other person to advance, and then when the time comes when we flip roles, or we switch roles so that we are doing this, that's not what I'm talking about. That's very different. That's planning. That's working at a team as a team. That's putting the team goals and the team desires as our primary focus, not my personal desire. Because, oh, I gotta get to a certain point, or I gotta have to make a certain amount of money before I turn around and look at my family, or I it devalues the purpose of the other person. And so it is very important. That's why I said the principle that if you look at somebody else that less than you, or that you are better than them, or you feel like you have to rule over somebody else, that is definitely going to ruin your relationship. That is the principle. No man was given dominion over another man. No man was given power to rule over another man. We are given power to rule over the things of the earth, like the birds in the sea, the creatures on the land, the trees on the land, and everything was made for us, except the fact that we're not made to rule over each other because we are co-heads. I don't know if some of you saw where this was going, but it makes a huge to me. I think it makes a huge difference in how we look at each other. Because now, before you call yourself a high value man looking for a specific type of person, maybe you question why that is. Before you drag somebody along for 8 9 years with the idea, or the goal of marriage, or or dangling the idea of a long-term relationship with this person, when you know very well that you have no plans on it. When you take other people for granted, maybe this will cause you to think a little bit. It's not fair to the other person for you to string them along, and they feel one way about something, about the relationship, and you feel the other way, but you don't tell them because you feel like what you need and your desires are more important. And again, know your value, but your value should not devalue somebody else. Your value should not devalue somebody else. I've gone way longer than I thought I was gonna go. Um, so again, let me know what you guys think. And going back to the original plan will give us perspective on where we need to go. Will give us an idea of what we need to do and what we need to achieve. So again, respond in the show notes. Give me some responses. Give me some. Let me know how you feel about it. Like, share, subscribe. Do the things that we're supposed to do with social media stuff. And I hope this blesses you. I hope this at least helped you from where to come from. And again, like I said, we are building and we're on this journey together. And so it's gonna be like we are the couple, right? It's me and y'all. So let's go on this journey together. And I hope that this blessed somebody, and that I at least spoke to one or two people out there. Again, thanks again for listening. This is literally season 3, chapter 2 of the podcast. But hey, It's the couple's journey, and stay blessed by the one that gives us rest. I know that's corny, but I love it. So I'll say it again. Stay blessed by he that gives us rest. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.